The ballroom shimmered with crystal chandeliers, each corner glowing as guests arrived in their finest attire. Doctors, professors, and polished acquaintances mingled under the music, basking in the prestige of another celebrated event for the family. To them, this wedding was another bright jewel in their crown. Then I walked through the doors. The second her eyes caught me, my mother-in-law's face hardened. She didn't even bother lowering her tone. "Why is this defect here?" she snapped, her words slicing to the chatter like glass shattering. Conversations faltered, heads turned. Some guests hid their grins behind their hands, while others leaned in, eager for the spectacle. My wife's sister, radiant in her wedding gown, curled her lips into the smirk she had clearly been saving. "You weren't invited," she sneered. "We don't need a worthless high school dropout spoiling our photographs." The room erupted with mean-spirited laughter, cruel and condescending. The same sound I'd endured nearly a decade ago when they branded me unworthy of their daughter's hand. Before I could speak, her husband, the groom, stepped forward, voice trembling but defiant. "How dare you? This man is—" I cut him off with a small, measured smile. My gaze swept across the sea of mocking faces before landing back on him. "You have no idea, do you?" I said softly. The laughter broke off like glass cracking. Whispers swirled through the silence. Behind my calm expression was a truth that would upend everything they thought they knew. Chapter 2. 9 years of silence. 9 years earlier, I had walked into their household as nothing more than a young man with a high school diploma who had somehow married into a family of doctors. They wasted no time dismissing me. My mother-in-law called me her daughter's ugly mistake. My wife's sister flaunted her degrees and her circle of ambitious friends, never missing a chance to measure me against them. At family gatherings, they played polite host outsiders. But once backs were turned, their whispers carried poison. I endured it quietly, not because I was powerless, but because I had a plan. While they snickered, I worked. I picked up small jobs, spent long nights learning, and sacrificed comfort without recognition. My break came when an entrepreneur noticed my persistence and took me under his wing. He taught me the world of real estate and investments. They thought I had faded into obscurity. In truth, I was reshaping my life. By the time 9 years had passed, I had built a string of businesses in my name. I had poured capital into medical technology ventures, the very industry my wife's family idolized. In circles far removed from theirs, my reputation carried weight not because of diploma, but because of what I delivered. I never flaunted it. I waited. And now, standing beneath glittering chandeliers while they called me a defect once again, I knew the moment was perfect. The groom, the only one among them who treated me with genuine respect, had glimpsed parts of my journey. That was why his face drained of color when the insults started, why he had tried to silence them. With every eye fixed on me, I let my smile linger. "You truly have no idea, do you?" I repeated, this time with calm authority. This was more than a revelation about who I had become. It was a trap they had set for themselves, one that was about to turn this wedding inside out. Chapter 3. The reveal. The hall froze after my words. The laughter faded, replaced by uneasy murmurs. My wife's sister tried to maintain her mocking grin, but her eyes betrayed a flicker of doubt. Guests leaned closer, sensing there was more here than just family drama. The groom shifted, visibly uncomfortable, as if holding back the truth. I let the tension build, then stepped forward. "For 9 years, you've mocked me for being nothing but a high school graduate. You've called me ugly, unworthy, defective. But here's what you never noticed. While you were laughing, I was building." The words hung heavy in the air. Then I turned toward the groom. "Daniel, tell them." Daniel hesitated, then drew in a steady breath. His voice rang clear across the hushed hall. "This man is one of the principal investors in the medical research company that launched my career. Without his support, I wouldn't be standing here today. In fact, many of the breakthroughs your family boasts about at conferences exist because of the funding he provided." Gasps spread like wildfire, faces drained of color. The same guest who had sneered moments ago now gawked in disbelief. My mother-in-law stammered, her voice trembling. "No, That's not possible. He's just a high school graduate. I smiled and finished for her, my tone calm but cutting. Yes, that's exactly what you called me. But degrees don't define vision. They don't measure discipline. They don't capture resilience. The silence that followed was deafening. I let the silence stretch, then spoke again, my tone calm, but sharp enough to cut through marble. You pushed me out of your family, treated me like a stain on your perfect reputation. But the truth is, all these years, you've been sitting at my table without even realizing it. A ripple of confusion moved through the hall. I allowed it to build before delivering the final strike. Oh, and one more thing, I added, slipping a folded document from my pocket. I held it up so everyone could see. This venue you're celebrating in tonight, I purchased it last year, which means I paused, savoring the moment. You didn't invite me here. You invited yourselves into my home. The impact was immediate. Gasps, whispers, and even a few stunned laughs erupted across the room. My wife's sister's smug expression crumbled, her face blanching as her confidence dissolved into silence. Chapter 4. The wedding unravels. The words, "This venue belongs to me," clung to the air like smoke. Forks froze halfway in mouths. Wine glasses trembled in hands. My wife's sister clutched at the folds of her gown, as if the fabric itself could shield her from humiliation. My mother-in-law opened her mouth, shut it, opened it again, yet nothing came. For years they had sneered at me, dismissed me, branded me defective. Now, in front of the very crowd they lived to impress, the foundation of their pride collapsed. Whispers spread like wildfire through the guests. He owns the building? Didn't they call him worthless? Didn't he fund their careers? Those who had smirked at my arrival now studied me with uneasy respect. A few even raised their glasses discreetly in my direction, acknowledging the truth. The groom, realizing where the balance of power now lay, stepped forward. His voice, firm and steady, cut through the chaos. From this moment forward, you will show him respect. Without him, I wouldn't even be standing here as your son-in-law. The room exploded in shock. He hadn't simply defended me. He had drawn a line against his new in-laws on his own wedding day. My wife's sister, desperate to salvage her pride, shouted, "This is still my wedding." But her voice cracked, thin and powerless. No one listened. They only watched her unravel, exposed and disgraced in the very hall she believed reflected her superiority. Her mother, red with fury, spat her final words at me. "You think this makes you better than us?" I leaned forward just enough for everyone to hear, keeping my tone measured. "No, it doesn't make me better. It only proves I was never less." From the back of the hall, a few hands began to clap. The sound grew, first scattered, then swelling into applause that filled the ballroom. But it wasn't for the bride, nor for the family of doctors. It was for the man they had tried to erase. Epilogue. Years later, that wedding, intended to be the peak of my wife's family's prestige, became the beginning of their downfall. People never forgot the gasps, the silence, or the applause that had turned against them. My mother-in-law could no longer walk into a social gathering without whispers trailing her. Isn't she the one who called her son-in-law a defect, only to be humiliated at her daughter's wedding? Her arrogance dwindled into silence. My wife's sister, once proud of being the doctor's daughter, could never boast about her family again without someone reminding her the night her own husband pledged loyalty to me instead of them. Their once polished name in medical circles carried more shame than respect. Meanwhile, I thrived. My businesses expanded, my investments in medical technology flourished, and my network grew to include many of the same colleagues who had once mocked me, not because I flaunted success, but because I carried it with quiet strength. At home, I found peace. No longer weighed down by seeking approval from those who had none to give, I built my legacy on patience, resilience, and integrity, the very qualities they dismissed. They branded me a defect, but the only flaw exposed at night was their arrogance. Years later, I remembered the words I had spoken to them. "You have no idea, do you?" Now they did, and the truth followed them wherever they went. Balance scaled the lesson. They tried to erase me, but all they succeeded in doing was revealing their own weakness.